Now, Kevin Mcaleese, WION Correspondent, joins us live from Washington, D.C. for more on this. Good evening to you, Kevin. Now, there have, of course, been previous efforts made to launch impeachment proceedings against President Trump for various reasons before now. This has, however, this is the first formal impeachment inquiry that has been raised. How serious is this, considering that there is now a predominantly Democrat Senate?
Well, it's extremely serious, and that's why you saw Speaker Nancy Pelosi finally coming out after months and months of reluctantly embracing calls from within her party to move ahead with impeachment proceedings. This phone call transcript between Donald Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart was the straw that broke the back. This was when she decided that this was a time that the party could unite behind official impeachment proceedings. She believed that there was enough within this transcript, which was sort of twofold. It was Donald Trump asking for dirt on the origins and information on the origins of the Russia probe, a popular conspiracy that he and members of his administration have followed for some time, but also, of course, putting pressure on a foreign leader to effectively interfere in an election, that election being the upcoming 2020 election. He asked if President Zelensky could look into Joe Biden and his family. Joe Biden, the former US vice president, of course, is currently the front runner to secure the Democrat nomination to go head-to-head with Donald Trump in November 2020. So in terms of impeachment, this is now moving ahead. We have various committees up on the Hill who will be investigating, putting together a case against this president. They will then present those articles. The House will then take a vote. If that passes the House with a simple majority, it then moves on to the Senate, where it definitely will face a tougher examination and test because, of course, the Senate is currently in the majority control of the Republican Party. And at the moment, the Republicans are definitely holding the line behind this president, who says this is just an extension of the ongoing Democratic witch hunt against his administration.
Now, Kevin, these proceedings will, of course, take time, and 2020 is the election year. How big of an impact do you think that this will have on Donald Trump's campaign?
Well, there are various takes on how this will play out for both sides. Donald Trump reportedly was trying to avoid impeachment proceedings, although there had been earlier suggestions that, he was ready to take it on and it might even sort of fire up his base. But I think that sort of falls short of credibility. This base is always fired up for Donald Trump. They don't need an impeachment. But, Bill Clinton survived impeachment in the past and went on to, see his approval rating soar and, successfully take another term in office. Perhaps Donald Trump sees a way of weathering this storm, coming through this battle and, emerging stronger for it. That's one possibility. Of course, the other, the polar opposite end of that is he could potentially be removed from office. So it's a big gamble. And it's also a gamble, of course, for the Democrats. They recently did well in the November midterms. They had a huge success there. And the reason many put that down to is that they were able to focus on the issues, things like healthcare, things like national security, things like immigration. They were able to really sort of, enliven the electorate behind those key issues, whereas this time round, impeachment is likely to sort of drown out many of those. It will dominate between now and when eventually we see it progress to perhaps the level of a House vote and then, of course, onto the Senate.
Now, what do you make of the interaction between the Ukrainian Prime Minister and Trump at the UN General Assembly following the launch of this impeachment?
Well, obviously, in the context of that transcript of their phone call that was held back in July, the two leaders trod carefully. Donald Trump cut quite a frustrated forlorn figure, as he did across his appearances at the United Nations General Assembly. Fairly subdued, fairly monotone in his delivery, certainly in his address at the UNGA. The two leaders sat, they discussed, and they were pressed by journalists on the matter. Donald Trump said that he did not pressure President Zelensky to do anything in terms of investigating Biden or looking into the origins of the Russia probe. That is the line that this president has maintained. Earlier today, he tweeted that this was the greatest scam in history, in the history of American politics. It's a familiar refrain from a president who has been under scrutiny, under investigation, almost since coming into power back in 2017. So he has a narrative which you can expect to hear again and again as impeachment inquiries roll on, and as the matter of this complaint from the whistleblower is examined by lawmakers on the Hill.
Kevin, thank you for that report and helping us analyse and unpack the latest on the impeachment proceedings on Donald Trump. Now, that is, of course, Kevin Mcaleese, who is WION's correspondent live from Washington, D.C.